Welcome to episode 2 of Details of Life with Marcus Wilson. Thank you guys for tuning in again. And thank you all who tuned in for my first episode with Calbert Chaney. If you did not watch it, you need to go back and watch that. Share some great stories with the Big Ten's all-time leading scorer, IU great, Evansville legend, just an all-around solid guy. Share some great stories about times with Jordan, Steph Curry, and his recruitment and playing for Bobby Knight. So you really need to go check that out. But today, we're going to have a little bit of a different type of format, not just one topic. First, we're going to dive in with the number one point guard in the 2021 class, Khristian Lander. We're going to get into that a little bit. Second topic, many of you know I graduated from University of Evansville and recently been going through a little bit of turmoil, released the coach, Walt McCarty, and I really haven't given much of my opinion. A lot of people have been texting me and calling and asking what I think, and I really held my tongue. But today, I'm not going to hold my tongue. I'm going to give you guys what I think about that whole situation. And then lastly, obviously, the news of the week that's devastated us all, the passing of Kobe Bryant, and give you my thoughts on that. But first, like I said, we're going to bring on Khristian Lander. And, man, guys, the kid can flat out play. You don't become the number one point guard in the class being a scrub. And so it's awesome that the city of Evansville has a kid that can really hoop this way and putting Evansville on the map. I talked to Calbert Chaney. Many of you know, like I said, was on my last guest, and Calbert said that Khristian Lander is the best player to ever come out of Evansville. That says a lot, considering that Evansville's had some really good talent come out over the years. And so, you can see by some of these buckets that he's getting in this highlight film that he can do a little bit of everything. He's shifty, can probably play the combo. He's ranked as a point guard, but super athletic, super shifty, can score in bunches, but really prefers to pass first. And so, that's probably why he's the number one point guard. He has a multifaceted game to him, has a lot of schools, big-time schools recruiting him, Michigan, IU, Louisville. We got into some of that. So without further ado, let's tune in and hear what Khristian Lander has to say. All right. So we here right now. My next guest on the Details of Life is Khristian Lander, number 12 ranked player in the 2021 class. Number one point guard, that is. Man, how you doing, Khristian?
Good, how are you?
Appreciate it, man. So you're from Evansville, man. Tell us, some people probably want to know a little bit more about you. Who's been some of the biggest influences on you, like as a young man, like coming up? Where do you go to when you seek advice? And who kind of has helped shape you who you are?
Mainly my parents, my grandparents, and probably I call him my brother, but he's pretty much my brother. When you talked to earlier,
Okay.
There's Mark Givens. That's the main one I talked to.
Okay. So being the 12th ranked player in the country, that don't happen by accident, right? So when did what does a normal day for you look like? Like, what's your workout schedule?
I'd say I work out. I'll say I probably lift 2 to 3 times a week, and I hoop every day. I wake up. I usually 2 or 3 times a week. I go in the morning and play basketball, and then I go to school, and then I practice after school, and then depending on the day, I go work out lifting or basketball, just depending on the day.
So you work out before school and after school?
Sometimes, yeah.
All right. So see, everybody out there, it don't just happen by accident. You don't just wake up and start being nice. It takes a lot of work. So, so over the summer, man, like I know you played with a really high level team. You played with Indiana Elite. What was that experience like playing on the gauntlet?
It was a really good experience. I had a pretty good team in my opinion. I had 2 Indiana commits on that team, Trey Galloway and Anthony Leal.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a couple other pieces that played really nice together.
Okay. So did you play against any guys that you felt like, man, this dude is hella good, or like somebody that really gained your respect, like, man, this dude is nice?
I'd say most of the point guards that I played against that I thought that was nice was probably mainly at the Elite 100 camps and USA camps. There was good guards on the gauntlet, but there wasn't like any like spectacular ones.
Right. So when you I know some guys try to pair up and anything. Do you have any close friends out there that's maybe on other AAU teams, or that you stay in contact with, or anything that you might want to go hoop with, or you haven't really thought like that?
No, not really. No.
It's just I think that's better, man. So, so what's your recruiting process been like, man? Like, what offers have you gotten? Have you taken any visits? Or any school or coaches that have stood out so far?
I've taken a lot of unofficial visits just to see what it feels like when it's not an official. So on an unofficial, they don't do like a whole bunch for you. They're just
Right.
like showing you stuff. So I take a lot of unofficial visits, but recently I took 3 official visits to IU, Louisville, and Michigan.
Oh man. But you get 5. So have you thought about who those other 2 might be yet?
I'm not sure. I think my next one would most likely be Memphis.
Okay. Penny obviously is a good coach. He did a good job with Bluff City, with the AU squad and Nike and everything like that. So, man, when you're looking, I know there's people that's probably interested in what your decision making is like. So, I know when I was in school, I wanted to go to a place. I didn't know if I was going to be a pro, so I wanted to go to a place that had good academics. I wanted some place that was close to home, but not too close to home, because I didn't want my parents just swooping up on me anytime, right? So I wanted to have a good relationship with the coach. So what are some things that you're looking for when you making your decision? Obviously not any school in particular, but what are some of the lists when you be like, okay, I like this, and this?
Seeing who I'll be playing with. As far as basketball, I do like what type of offense they run, how they run it, and then my relationship with the coach has to be pretty strong. Come and be with them every single day.
Yeah.
So that, and then the academics as well. That's a really big part.
Yeah. I mean, I think nowadays relationships with the coach is so important, because you see guys like Dame Lillard, who went to Weber State. You see guys that come out of Murray State. John Morant, where you don't have to go to Indiana or Duke anymore. You go to a school where the coach lets you get loose. And, especially a kid like with your athleticism, man, you can go, sky's the limit, man. So when do I know typically guys make their decision around, after this final AAU season, you got this upcoming AAU season. Are you looking to play this AAU season out, assess some things, and then probably make a decision around this time next year?
Yeah, most likely. It's probably about the time.
Okay. And then what's your end goal like there? Like, you seem like a really well-spoken, smart, intelligent kid. If you decided not to play basketball, I feel like you would be successful. I know you got a good support group around you, but is that your end goal? Like, do you want to get to the league?
For sure. I feel like I can. I feel like I will too.
Okay. Well, let's dream for a second, because I think, like I said, I do research on my people, and everybody tells me, man, the talent level is there, the mind is there, the support group is there. So let's dream for a second. Let's say you're a first-round draft pick, 3 years, $12 million. What's the first thing you're doing with that $12 million?
Buying my family a house, for sure.
Okay. What's the second purchase?
Me a house, and then making sure everybody's good first, and then I'll do whatever I need to do, for myself.
Hey, people out there listening, coaches out there listening, that says a lot right there. He put himself second, and I think that's probably a good reason why he's a good point guard. Because point guards have to look out for the betterment of their team and for others, and then look out for themselves. So the first thing he said was going to look out for others and his people. And then, it might go out and floss a little bit on himself, but that's good, right? So, man, let's end with something I call the details of life Q&A, right? So I'm gonna fire some quick answers, some quick questions off to you, and then you just answer, right? So, Call of Duty, Fortnite, or Apex?
Call of Duty.
J. Cole or Drake?
J. Cole.
You watch more college or NBA basketball?
College.
If you was about to go out to eat, you want a burger or pizza?
Burger.
Dame Dollar or Westbrook?
Dame.
Okay. And who's the top 5 players in NBA history?
Ooh.
I'm not saying you ain't got to say number 1, 2, 3, just the top 5.
Michael Jordan.
Okay.
LeBron.
Okay.
Kobe.
Ooh. Okay.
That's tough. 3. I'd say I put Magic Johnson in there.
Okay.
And then I gotta put Allen Iverson in there.
Ooh, Allen Iverson.
I got to.
Okay.
Got to.
So my top 5, we got some of the similar ones. My top 5 is in no particular order: Jordan, LeBron, Magic, Kareem, Will Chamberlain, and then probably Bill Russell because he got all them rings. But because I value winning. But
I was gonna put Will in there.
all right. Well, man, I appreciate you taking time for me, man. Good luck to you for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And man, the sky's the limit for you. Khristian Lander right here, future superstar, current star, and keep a lookout for his name. All right, peace. Shout out to Khristian Lander for coming on the broadcast. Best of luck to that kid. He's a really super talented kid, and I'm sure he's going to be successful wherever he decides to go. So good luck for the rest of the season, the AAU summer season, and wherever he lands in college. I think he's going to be a star wherever he goes, has the potential to go to the NBA. And so continue playing hard. It's good to see a good, a good young kid, humble, hungry, well-spoken. And so, man, you got a fan of me right here. So continue to rep Evansville, and, we rooting for you. Speaking of Evansville, like I said, we're going to transition to another topic. Many of you know I played for the University of Evansville, so there's been some things going on there that I've been keeping a close eye on, and many people have been asking my opinion about it, and I just decided that, it wasn't time. But now, now that they've kind of made a decision, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my opinion. So for those of you who don't know, a lot of you heard about Evansville earlier this year going to the University of Kentucky and knocking off the number 1 ranked Wildcats, Kentucky Wildcats in Rupp Arena, which really, elevated Evansville and put us on the map. And unfortunately, some things happened after that, after we were kind of on the map, that really also magnified when they suspended our head coach, Walter McCarty, and just recently made the decision to terminate him. And although the details haven't been released, and I'm not here to judge anyone, I am going to give a little comment about, the whole process from the beginning. So I got to take you guys back when, before last year. So it was going into the 18-19 season, and the University of Evansville was going through a coaching search, right? And so in that coaching search, they had got narrowed down to about 3 coaches: Calbert Chaney, David Ragland, Walter McCarty. And I knew 2 out of the 3. So before that, actually, I'm not going to, drop any names, but there were some prominent people at the University of Evansville who called me and was like, "Hey, Marcus, would you be willing to come back here and coach? It might be an opportunity. Is that something you'd be interested in?" And I was over here minding my own business in St. Louis, running a YMCA in a really challenging community, but was having some success and making some strides in some of the goals and visions that we had for that community. And so coaching, going back to coaching Division I basketball was one of the last things on my mind. But, it was like 20 years ago at that time was the last time University of Evansville went to the NCAA tournament. That was my senior year. So from 98 to 99, and then all of a sudden in 2018, 2019, I'm getting calls like, "Would you be interested?" And no specific job offers, but just, people around the program. And so, I started thinking like, I don't really want to coach, but, this is kind of a great opportunity. It's almost like too good to be true. Like 20 years to the year that we went to the tournament and won the Missouri Valley Conference, the only Missouri Valley Conference championship the University of Evansville has had since joining the conference. Having the opportunity to go back there and possibly coach and try to lead them back to the tournament, I started thinking like, man, maybe this is something I should consider. Then when they narrowed it down to 3, and 2 out of the 3, Calbert and David Ragland, both called me before going into the interviews and said, if they offer me the job, Marcus, I want you to come on the staff with me, which was very, humbling. And I know those guys, right? Like, I know if I ever went back to coaching, it would have to be with somebody I know and respected. And I know and respect those guys. I know them. I know their families. I know what they're about. And so it wouldn't have been a hard transition when you want to go work with people you like. And those are 2 guys that I consider my friends. And so I told them, yeah, if you get the job, I'll roll with you. Well, we all know neither one of them got the job, right? Coach Walter McCarty got the job. And so at that time, I wanted to reach out and talk to Walt, say a couple things. I really had my whole speech planned out. It was only going to be about a 4 or 5 minute speech, and I'll tell you what I was going to say. But what happened then kind of set the tone, at least for what I thought, how things might turn out. And so what I mean by that is he gets the job, and I immediately call, I got his number, and I called no answer. Obviously, and then I call again a couple of days later, no answer. Shoot a text. Hey, coach, man, it's Marcus Wilson. Played there. Would love to catch up with you. No reply. Text again. No reply. So I'm like, man, what's going on? So I talked to one of my friends that I knew was going to be seeing him. He's a, kind of prominent guy at Evansville, in the city of Evansville, and I knew he would be running into him. So I was like, I've been trying to get in touch with Walt just to kind of give him a little support and whatever, and haven't heard back. He was like, all right, when I see him, I'll say something to him. So sure enough, he ran into him a few days later and said, hey, they was at a fundraiser, and he was like, hey, Walt, my boy Marcus Wilson, played at Evansville. Said he's been trying to reach out to you, called you and texted you a few times, and he hasn't heard back. And Walt's reply was, man, you see my phone right here? I got 92 missed calls and 168 text messages. I ain't got time to get back with everybody. Okay. And so right then, for me, like, it wasn't even about the fact that, he wasn't getting back with what he said. To me, that was kind of set the precedent because, I try to be as humble of a guy and down to earth as possible. But in this situation, right, like, the fact of the matter is the last time this university went to the NCAA tournament was our team. When I say our team, it wasn't just me. It was me. It was Kurt Bagley. It was Clint Keon. It was Adam Seitz. It was all these guys, Chuck Hetty, Kwame James, guys that it was an awesome team, right? We won the Valley by 2 games. And the last time they had a conference player of the year, and the only time they've had a conference player of the year was when I played, right? And so all I really wanted to do was call and say 2 things. Like I said, I had my speech already planned out. I was going to say, look, congratulations on getting the job, coach. Anything you need, you let me know. Anything. You need me to, if you're interested in me being on the staff, we could talk about that. If you need help recruiting St. Louis, because I got some connections here in St. Louis, and I got some in Atlanta, and I got some in other places I've been, you let me know, and I'll be out there recruiting for you. If you just need me to drive to Evansville, which is about a 3-hour drive from me, if you need me to drive to Evansville and talk to a recruit for 20 minutes and tell them how Evansville prepared me for life, I've been able to have some success in the business world and played 12 years pro and kind of developed me as a man. And so I would drive 3 hours there and back just to talk to a kid for 20 minutes if you thought that if you think that it would help you get a player here for the Aces, because at the end of the day, I just want this university to be successful and I want this team to be successful. So that's number 1. And number 2 is, man, just recognize that you have an awesome responsibility, an awesome chance, an opportunity ahead of you. You're the first black coach in the history of Evansville history, right? In the history of Evansville basketball. Whether it's fair or not, you're going to kind of be the litmus test, right? So if guys are graduating and you're winning and guys are doing great work in the community and things like that, you have an opportunity to open doors for other people possibly here, but even across the valley and other places who have never had a black coach. If you don't, if our guys aren't graduating, if they're not doing community service, if they're getting in trouble off the court and stuff, that's going to be a reflection of you, right? And so take that responsibility seriously, because there's people out there that's fighting right now, guys like David Ragland, guys like other guys who can't wait for the opportunity to become a head coach, and you might have opportunity to open up those doors. And so one thing that my parents taught me and that Coach Cruz taught me, and me and Coach Cruz didn't always see eye to eye on everything, but there were some valuable lessons that he did teach me, and this is one. And my parents told me the same thing, is respect what came before you. Respect the people that came before you. Any of you guys that saw me doing my color commentating the game when I interviewed Larry Humes, like, I was in awe. One of the reasons why is because I had such great respect for who he was and the fact that he came before me, right? Like, I studied him when I went to the University of Evansville. I knew his stats, and I knew what he was about. I knew the championships he won. And so people like that deserve my respect. And whether it's my parents, my grandparents, people that made sacrifices for me to be where I'm at, or guys at University of Evansville, Andy Elkins, Reed Jackson, Scott Schreffler, Larry Humes, Don Boozy, Jerry Sloan, the list goes on. Those guys, I wouldn't be where I was at, and the University of Evansville basketball program wouldn't be where it was at without guys like them, right? And so let me take you to, like I said, I'm running a Y here in St. Louis, and the Y that I run is one of the oldest African-American Ys in the country. And so when I got the job back in May of 2016, there were people that were calling, texting, wanting to come meet me. Now, obviously, we all know when we get a new job and there's donors and there's highly influential people, we got to meet with them. But I'm talking like old ladies who's never given a dime to the Y, but they've been going there for 30 years. And they just want to come in and meet me. They want to come in and say, I've been coming to this Y for 30 years. Nice to meet you. Some people coming in and rambling 30-minute stories that I really, to be quite honest, wasn't that interested in hearing. But I sat there and sat through them. You know why? Because I wouldn't have myself in the seat that I'm in now if it wasn't for the people like them coming to the Y over the years, sacrificing, possibly giving $2, $10, $100 to help the programs continue serving the community. And so I have a great respect for people like that. And I knew that I had to take every one of those meetings, right? Therefore, it kind of troubled me from the beginning that the response was, see all these missed calls, see all these missed texts. I can't get back with everybody. I want to be as humble as possible, but I just don't think that I'm just anybody in the program. You know, like I've won championships there. I gave blood, sweat, and tears. You know, I had shoulder surgery there. I had concussions there. You know, I worked my butt off there. I did things. I sacrificed time for myself and my teammates there. We won championships there. My jersey's hanging in the rafters there. I'm not just anybody. I at least deserve a text back to say, hey, man, it's really hectic right now. I'll get back with you in 2 weeks. Although that might not have been what I wanted to hear, I could have took that and understood, like, man, I know he's got a lot of going on, got to meet donors, got to get a coaching staff and all this stuff. But to just kind of blow me off, let me know that he might not respect the culture of the University of Evansville, because the culture of Evansville that I know, you respect the people that came before you. I'm not even talking about guys who got their jersey hung in the rafter. I'm talking about the guys who just competed for 4 years and graduated and turned out to be great men and husbands in society, because that's what University of Evansville is known for, is producing great people. Might not have the most NBA athletes or anything like that. We might not have won every year, but the guys were out there graduating. They were out there in the community doing good things, and they turned out to be valuable contributors to our society. And so, you know, I just felt like from the beginning that everybody, I think, wanted to see a change in style of play, and that's fine. Nothing against Coach Simmons. You know, they were just, Coach Simmons can coach his butt off, and I'm a big fan of Coach Simmons. But I think that the people were saying, hey, you know, we want something a little different, change of pace, whatever. So the university made that decision. I've been fired before. He's been fired before. Okay, it is what it is. We're going to change the style of play. It wasn't time to change the culture, because the culture was right. The culture was right. Respect the people that came before you. Graduate players. Do work in the community. You know, and the fact that somebody I felt like wasn't respecting the details of what that was. And so once that happened, I still support it. I didn't take that personal. I mean, I did a little bit, but I wasn't going to let that affect the bigger goal. The bigger goal was still making sure that this brother, Walter McCarty, and the team was successful. So you can ask anybody that when I go back to Evansville, if you ever run into the athletic director, I tell him all the time, you need me to do anything. You need me to show up for a press conference. You need me to come talk to a recruit. You need me to talk to a player that's struggling. Call me. I'll be on the road 3 hours there for a 10-minute conversation if that's what it needs, because I want my university and my alma mater to be successful, and I would do what it takes to do that. So, you know, I just felt a certain way about that. And so when somebody don't respect the details and don't respect what came before them, things like this happen, right? And so again, if people are friends of Walt or he's actually watching, I'm not here to talk about the allegations. I don't even know what happened. I almost don't even really want to know. I know the university came to a conclusion to separate. Okay. So I'm not getting into the actual details of that. What I am saying is, from the beginning, the fact that I don't feel like there was a respect for the people that came before him quite possibly could have led to some of the situation we're in now. So that's all I got to say about that. Hopefully I don't hurt too many feelings with that, but I'm passionate about my university. I'm passionate about my teammates that gave up blood, sweat, and tears with me. I'm talking about the guys that didn't even play that much. I still talk to these guys. Walk-ons, Rex Simmermaker, anybody that came through the program and gave that time and blood, sweat, and tears, I respect. And so that's probably why you see me talk a little bit raw right now, which leads me to my next topic, the one that's been all over the news. And this has been devastating. And I'm not going to lie. I think one of the reasons that made me a decent leader is my ability to feel and show emotions. A lot of men in particular, and I can speak for black men because I'm a black man, like try not to show emotions. Like that's a weakness. And I just don't believe that. Now, yeah, I'm not a big crier or, stuff like that. But at the same time, I always know that I can tell somebody I love them. I can recognize when people are hurting, and and so this whole situation really messed me up for a little while. I think for me, the reason why it stood out and why it's been so hurtful is, number one, he's 42. He was 41 and had a 13-year-old daughter. I'm 42. I have a 12-year-old son who's about to be 13 in a couple months. And just the thoughts of those last moments, it's hard to swallow. But for me personally, the reason that I think I've been really impacted by it is because I grew up watching him. We're the same age. Most of us did. And we all remember several years back when he had the incident in Colorado as a young man. And, I don't think he was ever convicted of sexual assault or anything. But still, he embarrassed himself and his wife for, publicly cheating on his wife. And, everybody makes mistakes. And how he handled that situation, at the time, he handled it very poorly. And one of the things I always used to hold against Kobe was the fact that when he got caught and he did the TV conference, I remember him saying something like, well, Shaq has paid up to $1 million of high and extramarital affairs. And I just remember like, man, he breaking the code. Like, you don't do your teammates like that. You don't do your boys like that. But he was a young man who made mistakes. Now, over time, look what this man has become. Most of us know people who can't admit when they're wrong, or they make mistakes and then they just default to, oh, well, that's just me. That's just where I come from. He didn't do that. He made mistakes and then became very, very intentional to become a better man, right? He started investing, being a better husband, being a better father, started investing into women's sports, giving time back and giving the game back to people. And so he went from somebody who was public enemy number one among some women to where you saw the raw emotion from the UConn players and the UConn coach shedding tears. The girl from Oregon basketball player shedding tears. He was an ambassador for the WNBA. We all saw that clip on ESPN where I forget the reporter's name, but she was saying that, he's a girl dad and, had her in tears about that. So it was very intentional that he made mistakes. A lot of us, we know Christians or we know other people of other religions, and it's like, we're supposed to forgive people. And it's hard to forgive somebody when they make mistakes and they keep making the same mistakes. You're like, man, you don't feel no remorse. Let your actions speak louder than words. But Kobe Bryant, his actions spoke louder than words. After that incident, one of the best dads to his girls possible, an ambassador of the WNBA. Who'd have thought when that happened, that years later, that he would be an ambassador for women's sports? Why? How did that happen? Because everything he did in his life was intentional. He worked his butt off to be a master and craft his game. He also worked his butt off to fix some of the wrongs and improve that what was a weakness in his game, which at the time was making bad decisions with another female. And then he went on to uplift females and uplift people of the same demographic that he hurt, right? I ain't got nothing but respect for that. So when I make mistakes in my life, I've been trying to be very intentional about making that portion of my character better. I've made mistakes, and I'm going to continue to make mistakes. We're human, but I do try to recognize when I make mistakes, and I do try to get better. And when you see me a year or 2 or 5 years later, that same negative flaw that you saw years before, hopefully you'll see that it's matured and it is no longer a weakness. And so for a man like Kobe Bryant, who didn't have to change, his money could have just continued to just help him elevate above that. He was very intentional. And so man to man, father to father, I have nothing but respect for that. So salute to you, Kobe. We're going to sign out with that one. Thank you for listening to episode 2 of The Details of Life with Marcus Wilson. You can watch this episode on YouTube, or you can also go to listen to the podcast on anchor.fm, and it'll also give you other links to listen to it on other platforms like Spotify and Google and all that. But at the end of the day, wherever you listen, I just need you to like, subscribe, and share. I think we got great content, guys, but where I need your help is to get the word out, and that's where you guys come in. So I appreciate your support, and just remember, this is going to be dropping every Sunday morning, and we got some great guys coming up, some great people coming up. Like I said, we're working on trying to get dates with 2 Chainz, with Skylar Diggins. We already got dates confirmed with NBA trainer Rob Allen. We got a Murray State coach, assistant coach Tim Kane. So got a lot of great people coming up. Just want to keep exposing y'all to different people and looking at the details that make them successful. Because remember, greatness is in the details. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.